Welcome everybody to this afternoon's edition of the Two Saints Show with myself, Mark Carter, and my co-host, Mark H. Afternoon, Mark.
Afternoon. Looking forward to today's show. Bit of a downer this week, but hopefully, try and be a little bit positive about things and, maybe a little bit down about things as well.
So, and on today's show, we're actually going to be covering, in the first half of the show, our review of Saints versus Burnley, our corner chat section of the show, regarding to Man City, obviously in UEFA.
Yeah.
We've also got Charlie Austin, and that will pretty much sum up what we'll be covering today. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to play you our little disclaimer that we have that goes out before the show every week. Keep tuned, and we'll be back after that.
Fiesta FM Southampton 95.0 FM.
Disclaimer. The following program contains language, views and opinions that may be unsuitable for some listeners. This is not necessarily a view or judgment of Fiesta FM, its management, other hosts or advertisers. The show is for entertainment purpose only and is not intended to defame, insult or offend anybody in any shape or form whatsoever. Listeners are advised to exercise caution in their own environment when listening to the show.
You're listening to the Two Saints Show on Fiesta 95 FM with Mark C and Mark H. It's Mark C and Mark H. Mark my word, they're here with everything in the Two Saints Show. Get your weekly fix everything Southampton FC with Mark C and Mark H on the Two Saints Show.
Welcome back to the Two Saints Show, everyone, today. So, Mark, starting today's show, we've got our review of Saints versus Burnley. Okay,
so first of all, most important thing to say, and you don't say it every week.
No.
So we lost.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the result was Saints 1, Burnley 2. And all I would say is, unfortunately, we lost the one person. Well, there was two people, and I'm going to sound repetitive here. Danny Ings.
Yep.
Right? But we lost the person to me that was driving the bus on Saturday. Right? And that was Sofiane Boufal.
Yep.
Because as soon as he went off the pitch, because personally for me, apart from Ings, he was the only one that was showing any kind of desire to try and win the game for those that were supporting the team in red and white. And I've got to say something. I mean, I normally when I'm talking about Sofiane, I turn around to say, for me, probably dwells on the ball a little bit too much, especially when he comes central. But on Saturday, mate, he had jet propelled boots on because he was some sort of speed merchant, and I think that may have been what caused the injury, if I'm honest, because he looked like lightning. He was playing like a player possessed before he went off.
In fairness, Shane Long had actually stated previous to this game that Sofiane Boufal was one of the speedsters at the club, along with Nathan Redmond and Mr. Jacko.
Yeah, well, he's been probably spot on.
I remember me and you talking about it, and you said, really? Sofiane? He's not quite as quick as the rest of them.
All I would say is he showed it certainly on Saturday, and it was such a shame that he went off halfway through the first half, because he was the only one that was showing any sort of inclination or impetus to attack.
I'm sat there and I'm thinking, right, Saints, at home, let's make a really positive start. And you're 1-0 down after 90 seconds. And your man of the moment, your absolute talisman, is a guy who's kind of slightly at fault for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one.
It is. I mean, the conditions obviously have contributed to it.
The conditions help. I mean,
and that's not an excuse, obviously.
I'm in the wrong area of the stadium.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I sit in the library.
The chapel end, Mark means.
In the morgue. I sit in the morgue with my chapel compatriots. Right.
It literally is a chapel, isn't it?
All I would say is, so you're thinking, right, let's start off positively from the very start. Right?
Absolutely.
Concede the corner.
Yeah.
Right? And all I can say from my end was the ball's coming across, right? And and Dan turned around and said to me, Dan's the fella that goes with me to the football.
Yeah.
And he turns around and he says, as I'm thinking exactly the same thing, he says, that ball's going out.
Yeah.
Right? Now, admittedly, we're a good bit away from it, and it's naked eye stuff, right?
Well, apparently you, Dan, and Danny Ings had exactly the same thought, Mark. You all thought it was going out.
So, but the difference about me being in the stands, right, as opposed to being on the pitch, if I was Danny Ings, B, if I was Alex McCarthy, because I've got to say that neither of them are blameless here, because
no, absolutely not.
First of all, I'm thinking McCarthy should be seeing it much better than Ings.
Yep.
Ings is the first port of call, if you like.
Yep.
Right, so he has the opportunity, but he sat there thinking it's going out, and all this comes down to either of them. So either Danny Ings or Alex McCarthy is communication.
Well, let's also remember it's in the penalty area. It's in the penalty area, which is Alex McCarthy's domain. And greatest respect in the world of Danny Ings, he's not a defender, is he?
No, but I mean, some in that position, and both of them. I'm sorry, but both of them are experienced enough.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Surely someone somewhere there between the two of them should be giving it the shout.
As I said to you, when I saw the replay, my first question was, why on earth is Alex McCarthy behind his goal line?
Yeah.
Why is he not on his goal line?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was just weird.
But maybe it was they were both of the same opinion. But again, that comes down to communication for me. I mean, it just someone needs to communicate. I mean, what. In
fairness to you, I actually did say to you, one of the fundamentals you're taught as a young goalkeeper is you cover your near post no matter what.
Yeah,
and McCarthy didn't do it. So no offence, Alex, you've not covered your near post. You're behind your goal line.
Or even
that's
if
not covering your near post.
Even if he's not covering the near post, someone should be on there. You know, well, because back in the day, you used to have defenders on either post normally.
I mean, myself personally, I'd much rather Danny Ings had actually said, do you know what, I'm not going to take a chance because of the conditions, and I'm just going to put the ball out anyway.
Yeah,
I'm just going to deflect it out for another corner, which would have been a better option probably. But
the thing is I want to be able to turn around and say that basically because of the goal that set the tone of the match, but that wasn't really true. No. I mean,
well, it was actually a good first half from Saints, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Well, it was. All I would say is it was a lot better than the second half. But again, the reason for it being a good first half was because anything that was creative, anything that was positive going forward in the first half was coming through Sophie and Buffel. I mean, Mark, you know me, right? And I always call us, a spade a spade.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? For me, right, and I I'm a bit of a champion of his, right?
Absolutely.
Stuart Armstrong.
Yep.
Where were you, Stuart? On Saturday?
Yeah, nowhere, man. Nowhere, man.
Effectively, for me, he's been one of the reasons why we've been so good, right?
Yep.
He's been incisive in his passing.
Yep.
Obviously, he's the link between the midfield and the forwards.
Yep.
Right? I mean, he picked up the ball 3 times that I seen on Saturday, right? And he's effectively, right, ran from the right-hand side of the pitch all the way across the 18-yard box, right, to the other side of the pitch. And you're thinking, where are you going? I was waiting for him to start running out of the stadium, mate, And you're sat there going, sure, you've ran the whole length of the pitch, right?
I don't know what's happened to him.
In a width for breadth kind of way.
Yeah,
I'm sat there going, where are you going with the football?
He's gone from being Mr. Incisive to kind of Forrest, stop running.
You've
You've seen that scene in Forrest Gump, he just runs on the football field. Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
what it felt
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
You've got it in a nutshell. Forrest run.
No, stop running.
And all he was doing was sort of, and he didn't do it once. He did it 3 times in that count. And I'm sat there, but fair enough if he's running across and he's delivering a ball.
Yeah.
But all he's doing is running across, and you're thinking, where are you going?
Well, and the thing is as well, when he's done that previously, he's given the ball away, hasn't he? So, it's not as though it's one of those things he's very good at, because when he's done that previously, he's given the ball away quite cheaply, hasn't he? So he was lucky he didn't get caught, really.
And the other thing,
where are you going?
The other thing I've got to say is, right, the amount of times over the 90 minutes, right? I mean, it's a little bit like on Saturday, did everybody catch the same disease at the same time, right? Because honestly, right, I was getting really frustrated because we were picking the ball up, right, and then you maybe had 1 or 2 passes, right, and it didn't matter who it was. People sometimes like to pick out Vestergaard's distribution, right? But
I'll come back to him in a minute.
To be fair to him, right? Everybody had the same affliction on Saturday, and I mean everybody. The other thing that I've got to say as well is, right, sometimes, and I've spoken to you about this as well, right, middle of the park, we've got Højbjerg and we've got Ward-Prowse, right, and sometimes they are parallel to each other, right, and then there are some times where you have the splits, what I call the split situation, where Højbjerg plays, I wouldn't say a deep role, right? He isn't as deep as, say, a Romeu, okay? Because Romeu normally, when he plays, he's more or less on top of the defence for me, right? So Højbjerg isn't that deep, but when they split, he takes up what I term as the anchor role of the midfield, right? And James Ward-Prowse is slightly higher above him, okay? So you're sat there picking a pass, whatever. On Saturday, the two of them split, okay? But rather than Højbjerg doing the anchor role, you've got James Ward-Prowse doing the anchor role, right? You had situations on Saturday where we had corners and free kicks, right? James Ward-Prowse is the furthest player back, right? So you've got people like Vestergaard and Jack Stevens and everybody else, right? I include Kyle Walker-Peters, all the defensive players, right? Because for some strange reason, the majority of the set plays seem to be being taken by Ryan Bertram, to my mind, right? And James Ward-Prowse is the furthest player back, and you're sitting there thinking, hang on, one of the most influential players, when it comes to set plays, and if a ball's being recycled, who do you want it to fall to? Of your central midfielders, who would you want it to fall to? You wouldn't want it to fall to Højbjerg.
Right, the thing is, Mark, the one cross that did come in that one of the defenders got his head on was Jack Stevens. And even that proved why you need James Ward-Prowse at the other end of the pitch putting the ball in. Because the one decent cross that came in, Jack Stevens got his head on. He very nearly scored, didn't he?
Yeah, no, it's true.
So you're right in the fact that they was crying out for Ward-Prowse to be there delivering it.
It was a strange one.
I mean, I thought it was strange anyway immediately because I saw the lineup and I was like, Vestergaard's in with Stevens, and I was like, I'm scratching my head, going, what's he doing? And then I read what Ralph said, and what he'd said was, and I was mortified when I read it. Ralph said, well, the reason we brought Vestergaard in place of Bednarek in central defence for this game is he's better on the ball. And I thought, did you watch the game earlier in the season, Ralph, when he went down the far end of the pitch?
Yeah,
and he was impersonating Bambi on ice.
I have to be honest, I had issues with that when he said it. I thought,
and you know the game I'm referring to as well.
My opinion is different of it, right? And he hasn't obviously came out and claimed it, but what I would say is, I took it when I seen the lineup and Vestergaard was in instead of Bednarek, I thought to myself, he's chosen Vestergaard because of the threat of Chris Wood.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But then what I didn't understand is Chris Wood goes off injured and I'm thinking, okay, make the change, because that's the
Yep.
reason.
Yep.
That was my thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we don't know whether that was actually his
considering
thinking
Chris
or
Wood
not,
pretty
but-
much with Alnerian accuracy tends to score against Saints nearly every time he plays us for Burnley.
But the thing that I found strange as well was, I mean, the Jack Stevens incident that you alluded to, where he hit the bar, right? I mean, that was the only significant piece of play from open play, or even any kind of play that I can actually think of.
Well,
I
other
mean,
than Danny Ings' goal.
yeah, and that was what was most worrying, because now we don't know how long Buffel's going to be out for.
Yep.
And you'll come on to the story yourself
Absolutely,
in a minute,
yep.
and we'll comment on it. But like I said to you know, with Buffel being out and Redmond being out,
Yep.
you look at the team. There's no pace in there at all.
No, and the thing is, Ralph
And
says
that's worrying.
Ralph's actually said he's got 2 number 10s left. So he's referring to Stuart Armstrong and Musa Djenepo.
Musa Djenepo.
And he's saying these are players that want to play and they're desperate to play and they've got a point to prove. Now they've got to go out there and prove a point.
thing
Yeah, that's
is,
great, Ralph. The
earlier-
only problem for me is what worries me with Musa is he'll play, then he'll get an injury. Then he'll play, and then he'll get an injury. And, you know, you want that. If Musa's going to come in, you want him to be having a run in the team. You know, you want him to maintain a run in the team, and you want him to be doing what he was so good at earlier in the season.
I'm
Is he
not
going to be able
worried.
to come in and do that? I'm not so sure.
I'm not worried about the injuries, Mark. After Saturday, because obviously when Buffel got injured, Djenepo came on and replaced him. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not seeing the same Musa that we seen
No,
earlier
exactly.
in the season,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Where he has it's not even to do with confidence, I don't think, right? I mean, you know, is it because, you know, conditions aren't so much to his liking? Because earlier in the season, he's taking people on for fun.
Yep.
You know, he's beating them. He's pinging shots into the goal from everywhere.
Yep.
Right, and it showed on Saturday. I've got to tell you, because he wasn't taking people on.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there thinking to yourself, you know, you're replacing Buffel, who for the first half hour, whatever it was having a stormer. You know, and we need you to create, because James Ward-Prowse is playing like a defender.
Yep.
You know, he's playing further back in the pitch, is what I'm trying to say, people. You know, and you're thinking to yourself, we need you to be the creative spark to sort of ignite, you know, opportunities and everything else on the pitch.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
unfortunately, at the minute, it isn't happening with
right.
Musa. And I have to say that it hasn't looked like it's been happening for the last few games with him when he's
come on, he's gone off the ball a bit, hasn't he?
You know?
So yeah, I think Ralph's saying, you know, these two need to step up now. Armstrong and Armstrong and Djenepo definitely need to step up. I mean, Redmond looks as though, going by the article we've got as well, looks as though he's going to be out for probably 2 months, minimum of 1, possibly 2. He's got a groin injury. Ralph's basically saying they won't know kind of how bad it is at the moment because they're waiting for the blood to disappear. So that sounds like quite a nasty groin tear if that's what he's got.
I mean,
in regards to Sofiane Buffal, it's a bit sort of sketchy at the moment. There's nothing 100% as to how long he's going to be out for. But obviously it was an ankle injury. So you think that's probably going to be at least a couple of weeks, isn't it? Even if it's only severe bruising. And like you said, you felt as though probably what Buffal was doing probably contributed to his injury. So obviously if it's muscle related, it could be a month, couldn't it?
Yeah,
So, losing those two for that amount of time is huge.
The only other suggestion I want to make is because pace-wise, you know, I know Shane Long can run stuff, but pace-wise, you don't, you know, Musa's not necessarily doing it at the minute. But if, you know, I would still encourage to play him because we do need pace in the side.
Absolutely.
But
100%.
maybe an option is to consider playing, you know, somebody like Michael Omofemi on the other side and playing him as a winger rather than a striker.
That's what I was going to say myself, Mark, actually. I was just wondering if Michael Obafemi could possibly adapt to a slightly more Nathan Redmond-esque type of role.
He has, you know, occasionally this season we've seen where he's been playing, let's say, wider than less central of a striker. So that is an option. So let's hope that he uses that, because I do think that, especially the key in terms of when we're playing away from home, we are the classic counter-attacking side.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why we are the classic counter-attacking side is because there is, there's pace there, but obviously with Redmond and Bufel both being out injured,
Absolutely.
It's a little bit of a worry.
Well, in summing up for me, regards to the Saints Burnley game, in summing up for me, we were both well aware of what the record was going into the Burnley game.
Yeah.
So I wasn't 100% confident we were going to get a win. Thought we might just sneak one, but I think we both sort of agreed in the end that it looked like it was probably going to be a draw. Yeah. But I kind of agree with Ralph. I mean, second half was so poor from Saints, you didn't really deserve anything. The only other thing that annoyed me about the game was Yannick Vestergaard's remarks afterwards saying, well, we didn't really give them any chances. They didn't score from chances, they scored from half chances. Yannick, you didn't close your man down on the edge of the area, mate, and he smashed one in the top corner from 25 yards. Yeah. That's not a half chance. That was a clear-cut chance.
I've got to be honest. I think you're being harsh there, Mark, because I've seen it back, right? To be honest with you, both the goals, because I'm not counting the first goal. I mean, both the goals, they were excellent goals. I mean, I have a thing with Danny Ings. My favourite goals of his is the kind of goal he scored on Saturday. It was very similar to the goal he scored at Aston Villa away, right?
Picking the ball up from the edge of the area,
absolutely nothing on. Right?
Totally crazy himself.
He doesn't even, I mean, I'm sure there is a certain amount of awareness to where he is on the pitch.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that he just turns, swivels and has a shot, and you sort of sit there and think, that is an instinctive striker at his very best.
Oh, he's absolutely on song at the moment. And, you now... To be fair to him, you're seeing the profit of the hard work he put in over the summer now, aren't you?
Yeah.
He clearly worked very hard over the summer, and we're profiting from that at the moment. And thank God for Danny Ings, because as I've said to you numerous times, where on earth would we be this season without his goals? Danny, you're starting to look like your fee, mate. To be fair, you're starting to look like you warranted that fee. And I know we raised a few eyebrows at that fee. I certainly did as well, even though I was a bit of a fan of Danny Ings when he's fit, because I thought he's quite capable when he's fit. He sort of proved that in the past for Saints. But
I just think it's great for the locals at all as well, because obviously as a supporter, I know I'm not local, but obviously live in Southampton. But I just think it's fantastic. The supporters have someone born, raised in the city. I've always been a great advocate of it anyway. That. I always think that it's important to have people, whether it's coming through the academy or from the city playing for the club.
We've been lucky, haven't we, over the years? Because over the years we have had idols, or we've had people that we call as legends. And I think it's fair to say Danny's becoming a bit of a fan's favourite at the moment, which is great. We haven't had one of those for a while. I think Beattie was probably one of the last strikers we had that was a fan's favourite. Absolute fan's favourite. But it's fair to say Danny's becoming a bit of an idol for people now, isn't he? He's becoming a bit of a fan's favourite, and that's great. He's a local lad, and that's fantastic, And it just goes to show to any youngsters out there, even if you get rejected by your hometown club and you're a bit younger, stick at it. But anyway, wrapping that up for me. So, a bit of a disappointment that we dropped the points out. Opportunity missed. Could have gone 10th. Ended up the afternoon being 12th and going up a place, even though we lost, which was a strange one. Back in 13th now, but... the season's not done yet, but obviously it's a little bit of a worry because it's still only one win in the last 6 in all competitions, isn't it? Which is a bit of a worrying trend. But that sums up for me, so moving on. Your summary of that, Mark, and then obviously we move on to the next track of the day.
I mean, basically it was disappointing. The thing that kind of worries me, because, you can't help but look forward. And, the next 2 games are both against relegation threatened sides. You've got... I hope that they win on Saturday, because then it's a little bit like a pressure cooker at the minute. Because the thing is, if we don't get anything on Saturday, being the home side, and then we're going to West Ham away, and I'm sat there, I am worried about the position. I don't care if people are sat, other Saints fans are sat there smoking.
All I want to see
cigar
Saturday,
saying,
Mark, I want to see
we're going to be
Saints.
okay.
What I want to see from Saints Saturday is do your homework, right? Take Jack Grealish out of the game.
Yeah.
Right, you've got every opportunity to get the result and do what you're good at.
There's a person, right? There's a person who, if you don't close him down and you give him time on the ball, he's going to hurt you. I mean, there was even for the good display that we gave at Aston Villa, I've got to say that, you just got to make sure that you close him down. And he wasn't being, we were closing him down at times in the game against Villa, but, you don't want to be giving them the freedom of the city, but as I say, we'll come on to that anyway. But it's just concerning that, and again, I hate to go back to it, but we aren't dealing with our home form.
That's right.
And we're going to come on to it, but we've got our manager even coming out with that excuse now, and you're sat there going, but hang on a minute, Ralph. You weren't playing that card earlier in the season. You were saying that it was up to the players to turn things round. It is what it is at home.
But let's just prove, right, the 11 players that go out on Saturday, when you cross that white line, let's just prove that we learnt from Villa earlier in the season. Let's actually take Jack Grealish out of the game. So, anyway, let's move on to that. So,
it's the Two Marks, CNH, on the Two Saint Show, Fiesta 95 FM.
Your ways of contacting us on the show when we're on air are the WhatsApp number, which is 07493 819 688. That number again, 07493 819 688. Give us a call or a message on that. Get involved.
I'd love some feedback, people, just to say whether you're enjoying the show or whether you're not enjoying the show. And of course, we've got a link now up for SoundCloud, so you can listen back the other shows.
We have previous shows all up on SoundCloud, as Mark said. You can also contact us via the studio email, which is fiesta95studio@gmail.com. Check out the website, fiestafm.co.uk. We're on there. We've also got a page on Facebook and Twitter, The Two Saints Show. Yeah. So keep an eye out for those. Obviously has details of how you can listen in, because we're also on onlineradiobox.com. You can listen in on the show today via that as well.
Any feedback would be great, because Mark and I worry that we're just talking to each other in the studio. Cheers.
But obviously, everyone that does listen in, week out, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of Saints fans trying to give you guys a bit of entertainment on a wet and windy Thursday. Right, moving on. Man City banned from European club competition for 2 seasons by UEFA, Mark.
Right.
About time one of these teams that breached FIFA fair play rules finally got pulled to task on it.
Right.
Thank God for that, finally.
There's a couple of things I have to say about
At long
this.
last.
So, let's be clear about what's happened here as I understand it.
Yeah.
So people have a little bit of background to what's going on, okay? So financial fair play was brought in 2009.
Absolutely.
Okay? The idea of it was so that you didn't have a situation where owners came in who were billionaires, right? And they're throwing money at a football club.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of a sudden they decide to leave. They up sticks and they leave. Okay. Now, the thing is obviously it's sustainable as long as the owners stay there. But the worry was that football in general wanted what was going on in football to be sustainable, right?
Yeah.
And much as we, we turn around and we say about Southampton, there's not any money being spent. On the flip side, at least we're never in danger of breaching any financial fair play rules. And the thing is rules are there for a reason, okay? I mean, the thing is, to my mind, Manchester City have tried to upscale. They've tried to upscale too quickly, and basically because they've got money in the bank, they're paying for it. So, as I say, the difficulty that I have is, and this is where I agree with UEFA, okay, it's taken a long time for them to get round to actually charging Man City with anything, because we're talking about they've looked at City's predicament since 2012, and 2016 is the period we're talking about. I'm not sure about recent times, but the thing is so that we're clear on things, clubs, what City have done is they have vastly overestimated what a company's paying them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
For sponsorship deals. So you've got a company might be paying them, say, £56 million over 4 years, right? And City are turning around and saying, actually, they're paying us £96 million.
Absolutely.
So that it's sitting within financial firm, and they can sit there and say, well, we've been paid this, right? And they've been caught out. And the owner, I mean, this is a crazy situation, right? Because to me, right, the owner actually funds their youth academy, right? So, you know, at the end of the day, how do you keep control on that in terms of spending and stuff like that there?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I have is you know, I have all the respect in the world for older City fans, right, who have been through the mill, and I'm glad that they've had the success that they've had, right? I'm not bitter about it at all, to be honest.
No.
But I just tend to think if rules are there, and you've broke them, you know, then you have the piper to pay for it.
Do you remember from years ago, a lot of us were up in arms when Portsmouth pretty much brought the FA Cup, weren't we? We were absolutely and they got caught. They got pulled to task over it. They got pulled to task over the amount of money they'd spent, how they'd done it, everything else. If you breach the rules and you're guilty, then it's carried a heavier sentence. Me and Greg have spoken about this on the other show.
Yeah, but look,
you need to make sure if you've done something wrong, you should be held accountable. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but Mark, the thing that I need to point out to people is it's funny how UEFA's brought them to task about it. The Premier League have exactly the same rules. I don't see them pouring anybody over the coals.
I think, in fairness, Mark, you and I both know the Premier League are very weak when it comes to fit and proper persons tests, and when it comes, I mean, we like Southampton, didn't we?
So that isn't the same thing we're talking about.
What I'm saying to you, the point I'm making is, you and I both know when it comes to arbitration, when it comes to punishments, when it comes to the letter of the law, you and I both know the Premier League are notoriously weak, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
and they don't hold teams to task.
You say that, but the thing is I'm beginning to wonder whether you should have governed bodies in football because they're all weak. Absolutely. Because the bottom line here is, you know, we and I are sat in the studio talking about it now. Yeah. But the simple fact of the matter is that City will probably get it reduced. I mean, there was pictures the other day of them turning up at the Sport of Albert because it's gone to the surprise people. City are denying all responsibility, and all of a sudden they've turned
There's
up.
Actually,
now, if you're a fan, I don't care, right? If Saints all of a sudden started spending 150 million quid, right? I'd be I mean, surely as fan, you can't sit there. And, you know, because popular media annoy me because they know that what's actually going on. Yep. But then, you know, they're all going, oh, it's a big news story, big news story. It's not a big news story. If you're following things that are going on, you know, as I say, City want to join the European elite, right? There's a chip on the shoulder. And I get some of the grievances because they sit there and they go, we're knocking at the window. It's a little bit like your face is pressed up against the window, but the elite European clubs aren't letting you in. So they've always been a bit bitter towards UEFA anyway. Well, they think UEFA are on a witch hunt.
If I can just pick out a few bones of what's actually happened with all of this, Mark, as well, from the articles that are available. And this kind of dictates exactly what City think about the whole thing, what UEFA think about the whole thing. So UEFA basically said it was serious breaches. We're fining you for 25 million. This is going to happen. Man City say they're disappointed but not surprised by the prejudicial decision and will appeal. Independent chamber of the club financial control body said they'd broken the rules by overstating sponsorship revenue and accounts and stuff like that. Basically, the statement from Man City read, the club's always anticipated an ultimate need to seek out an independent body in process to impartially consider the comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence. In December of 2018, UEFA Chief Inspector publicly previewed the outcome and sanction we were set to receive before any investigation had begun. The subsequent flawed and consistently leaked UEFA process has meant there was little doubt in the result he would deliver. The clubs formally complained to UEFA disciplinary body, a complaint which was validated by a CAS ruling. Simply put, this is a case initiated by UEFA, prosecuted by UEFA and judged by UEFA. With this prejudicial process over, the club will pursue an impartial judgment as quickly as possible. So they're not going to accept it. They're just basically saying, because you leaked it before you did anything about it, we're now going to take you back to court.
Yeah,
because you told everyone what you were going to do.
I have to say this, that there was a person within UEFA who, back in November 2018, actually said to them, look, you know, this is going to be happening at some stage, and you are going to be charged with these offences. But for some, you know, because they're and I get it, and there probably is a bit of a cartel, right? But ultimately, if you have broken rules that are set there, and you know, this is what I don't get with Premier League, because the Premier League should be, you know, all over it. They've got the same set of rules, by the way.
Absolutely.
You know, but the thing is at least UEFA's trying to make a stand. Now, I've got to say, before I move off the subject and you wind up, all I'm going to say is this, Mark. Right? The thing is I don't like bought titles and stuff like that.
No, me either.
Unfortunately, it goes back to the Jack Walker days. You know, Abramovich took it to a new level, and now we've got the City, you know, the City owners taking it to a new level.
Absolutely.
But I don't like it because they're bought titles. They are bought titles.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, that wraps it up brilliantly, Mark.
But I just want to say one thing, right? City have a stadium that's too big for them. You know, they sell reduced season ticket prices. You know, and you know they're able to offer it for £250 because they're trying to fill the stadium that isn't full every week, right? So even on that basis, they have tried the upscale too quickly, too soon.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, Mark. That sums that up brilliantly. We're going to go to the news in a moment. Just let everyone know the WhatsApp number does actually work. We've had our first message in. Cheers, Greg. Nice to know we're coming out loud and clear. So Greg's messaging to say he can listen to us today. His message via WhatsApp said, near you loud and clear. So thanks for that, Greg. Thanks for the input. We will be... Right, welcome back, everyone. So, coming up in the second half of today's show, we have news relating to Southampton Football Club, obviously, generally. Dave Watson, Charlie Austin, and also Saints transfer news, and Danny Osvaldo. Right, welcome back, everyone. So, Mark, corner chat, part 2. Charlie Austin, yes again, has been running his mouth off on social media. And guess what? We're talking about it because he's actually been pulled in front of the FA.
Yeah.
Charlie, do you want to explain what you've been saying about the Saints fans, mate? Well, some of us are aware of it. My answer to it was ignore the man, he's irrelevant, but there you go. Here we are talking about it.
The thing is, right, I mean, it never ceases to amaze me, though, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've covered Charlie on the show before in terms of social media, what went on in the summer, and even before he left the club, right? And you know, my general attitude to it is, you know, you don't want someone who's basically trying to rile his own supporters, you know, at the football club. You know, he needs to remember that Southampton Football Club up until the summer were paying his wages. And, you know, look, what I would say is in actual fact, when you look at what we paid for him, right, and his goal, the appearance ratio, it wasn't that bad. Okay, you know, you've got to be even-handed in what you're saying. Don't look at me glumly. You know what I'm talking about. So basically, you know, he was a decent enough service for us in the time that he was here, but obviously because Hasenhüttl was playing a high intensity press, you know, you're not going to get that from somebody like Charlie Austin. What I don't understand is the sort of comments that he comes out with about Saints fans, you know, and they're totally unjustified. Where I get annoyed, Mark, is basically when he comes out and he'll say something like he talks about certain players, right? Are the atmosphere? I mean, Saints fans need to get over this atmosphere at home games nonsense, right? Because for me, it has improved as the season's gone on, right? I don't hear. So certainly since before Christmas, okay? The chapel's one of the worst places for it, I admit that, okay? But the thing is I haven't heard them sort of since Christmas, I'd probably say since the West Ham game, right, at home, I haven't heard in the same way that I was hearing before, the supporters in the chapel get on the team's case in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's about, for me, it's more about, but when Charlie Austin's going on about, the Saints fans are poor, and he's talking about, the home thing and stuff like that there, let's remember, this is a man who was given two-fingered salutes to his own fans, at the same time, I don't want to spend time talking about his antics on social media. As I've said, we've covered it before in the show. I don't really want to go back to it. And the thing is when he questions the home fans, you've got some of our fans that sit there and they go, well, he's got a point, the atmosphere at the ground's awful. 9 times out of 10, these are people who don't get involved in the singing and the chanting. And they sort of sit there expecting to be entertained at home games.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't disagree with that. I mean, I can't believe we're actually...
Why are we pandering to Charlie Austin,
well, I was going to say...
who's left the football...
Yep.
Why are our fans listening to what he's got to say, and then they're going, but he's got a point about this, hasn't he?
It's occurred to me
he's left the club.
It's occurred to me, Mark, over the last, I don't know how many months, that we have an awful lot of fans in our club who can't let the past go. They want Adam Lallana to come back. They want Morgan Schneiderlin to come back. They want Wanyama back. They're still bothered what Charlie Austin says. It's all irrelevant, people. Focus on the here and now. Focus on where Saints are at the moment. Get behind your team at St Mary's. Because I'm also sick of hearing all this, the fans are rubbish, the fans are this, fans. Absolute tosh. What you're doing is you're giving the players a way out every time you say, it's a fan support. Rubbish. Yeah. I've been to the Dow when there's been bad atmospheres. It made no difference what happened on the pitch, because what it comes down to is the 11 players that cross that white line at the end of the day. It's got nothing to do with what the fans do, and that is just a way out for the players. I'm sorry, it is. It's a way out for the club, and it's a way out for the players, and I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of hearing people say, the atmosphere is this, the atmosphere is that. Rubbish. Don't want to hear it anymore. Same as Charlie Austin. Absolutely irrelevant rubbish. Don't want to hear about it. The only thing I'm interested in is what my team do on the pitch. He's left the club, let it go. Adam Lallana's left the club, let it go. Do we want Adam Lallana back at St Mary's? No, we don't, because he's on massive wages. Get a grip, everyone. Seriously. I've had enough now. It's gone on too long. Get a grip.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, we've just had a little bit of a passionate rant from Mr. Mark Carter. Thank you very much, Mark, for the contribution. So anyway, moving on, please. Moving on.
Sorry, but, Anyway, Saints Club news. This is obviously relating to news in general. Callum Slattery scored, Mark.
Yeah, I mean...
Fantastic news.
Interesting, because obviously the article's to do with players that we've got out and loan at the club. Callum Slattery, I think it's his second appearance only for the club, and he scored. I mean, that can only be a good thing. I think, from my own point of view, it didn't look like, from pretty early on the season, you sort of knew that it looked like he wasn't going to get a look in relation to the first team squad. Absolutely. I do think it is good that he's gone out on loan. Yeah,
definitely.
And similarly, the same for Kane Ramsey. But for him to score in only what is his second out, fantastic.
Absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll have a quick scan through this article and I'll pick out the ones that are relevant to Saints. We'll come back to any you want to Mark, okay?
No problem.
So basically, obviously, about Callum Slattery. Mark's just covered that one. Elsewhere, it was also a successful week for another of Saints youngsters, Tom O'Connor. Helped League One Gillingham to make it 13 league games unbeaten with 2 victories. So that's that one. Moving on from there was also staying in League One. Kane Ramsey, as you've said, called into an action early in the second half for Shrewsbury Town. Couldn't hold off Portsmouth, unfortunately, they lost 2-0, which is a shame. Moving on from there, up in Scotland, Mohamed Elyounoussi is just recovering from his injury he's had recently. Was actually an unused sub in their 2-1 away win over Aberdeen on Sunday. Fraser Forster returned following being rested in the Cup with his 15th clean sheet of the season against Hearts and a string of good saves. Seems to be relishing his time up in Scotland again, Fraser, doesn't he? What a surprise. So that's that. Pretty much sums up most of that. Non-league, Kingsley Latham, the young goalkeeper from Southampton, helped Gosport Borough to a 2-1 win. Mario Lemina's Galatasaray. Good run of form, unbeaten in the last three, including a 3-1 win over Allianspor in the second leg of the Turkish Cup. He's actually played full 90 minutes of both games. Cool, blimey, it's a while since Lemina's done that, isn't it? Moving on from there, Christoph Clara finally continues good form with Austrian side St Paulton. The defender played in the duration of a 2-2 draw with fellow relegation battlers Flyer Alarm Admira. And you want to come back to and pick the bones on?
Just going back to the Thomas O'Connor Gillingham. I think it's been documented before in the sense that I haven't felt like he's going to be playing for Saints' first team. He'll be good in the lower leagues for somebody. I think the thing is, it's important to say, because obviously he's on loan at Gillingham, as is Alfie Jones, and thankfully there's been an upturn in their form because they were in the relegation zone for most of the season until over the Christmas-January period. There's been an upturn in the form, and it's good to see that both of them are involved, and more part of their elbow. But it's just good news for Thomas O'Connor and Alfie Jones that they've been able to turn it around.
Yeah.
And as a consequence, hopefully, if they're not involved here in any way, shape or form, maybe even next season, they get to go out on loan to a higher division club. Really? So,
yep.
Yeah, and for Kane Ramsey, a little bit sorry for him. I've seen that he was, before the game, obviously, the playing Portsmouth, he was well up for playing against Portsmouth, and obviously it wasn't to be. So, yeah, and as I say, in relation to everything else, obviously Mario Lemina's having a very productive time at Galatasaray. Obviously they're keen to keep hold of him, whether it's loan or whatever, and you can see the reason why.
Pay the money.
Obviously he's doing well for them.
Yeah.
And then the other one that you've got to mention is, is anybody surprised? I'm going to say this, right? I mean, I'm pleased for Fraser, don't get me wrong, but is anybody surprised that he's kept his 15th clean sheet of the season at Celtic?
He's in Scotland. It's Scotland.
And the thing is, the Elyounoussi one I've commented on before, and I kind of think I'd sell him, get the money, but with Fraser, I think I'd have him back at the club, mate, to be honest.
Yeah.
And maybe look to sell, I don't know, Gunnar McCarthy, one of the two of them.
Colours to the mask. Do you think Fraser Forster could stake a claim as the club's number one again?
I do. I genuinely do. I mean, I think
I'm with you. The
thing is sometimes you need to get out of an environment. Obviously, it was good for him to go back to Celtic. But, even Lazarus came back from the dead.
Absolutely.
And is he any, in the cold light of day, when you look at it now, is he any worse than the two keepers we've got? Because there isn't a lot of... You could argue
he's in better form at the moment.
To be fair, there isn't a lot of difference between McCarthy and Gunn. For me personally, there's not a lot of difference.
I agree, Mark.
I mean, probably McCarthy does the basics better, but you can flip a coin on a Saturday as to who starts.
Absolutely. So, moving on. Saints through to the Senior Cup semi-finals. So they won. They beat Havant and Waterloo with 3-1. So Southampton's youngsters. This is obviously.
I just thought I'd throw this one in because obviously the under-23 season has been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You can't run away from it, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, a little bit of good news: 3-1 win against Havant and Waterlooville.
Yeah.
You always wonder what the standard sort of is in the Hampshire Senior Cup.
Absolutely.
But having said that, hopefully this gives them encouragement in the semi-final against Eastleigh to win that and hopefully get a little bit of silverware and something productive from a season that's been, as I say, close to being a disaster, to be honest with you. I'm still trying to get my head around the fact that we've let, Raddy Joyety go off to America.
Yep.
And we've got this coach in that looks about the same age as the under-23 players. But as I say, the summer will be an interesting one because it's about building in terms of playing staff, in terms of a little bit of restructuring, hopefully behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
We get this, as Martin Simmons, as I said last week, he gave an article to the Echo where they're still looking to bring in this transfer guru bloke because he basically said apparently Martin Glover is just an administrator, so pick the bones out of that one. But anyway.
Okay, so moving on, really sad news, Mark. Obviously we all know this guy very well. Fantastic player for me when he was at the club. Him and Chris Nichol for me, one of the best central defensive partnerships we've had. Sad news is obviously relating to ex-England skipper Dave Watson. His wife's actually revealed that he's got a neurodegenerative disease, and his wife Penny believes it's most likely been brought on by head injuries and repeated heading of the ball over the years. It seems to be possibly the same illness that affected Jeff Astle. So very, very sad news. We all know Dave Watson very well from his time at Saints, his time with England as well. Phenomenal player for us, I thought. Exceptionally sad news coming out of the club about that. Coming out in the media about that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, all I want to say is, as a youngster, watching the partnership between him and Chris Nichol, for me as a partnership, it's
excuse us old men having a bit of an emotional moment.
It's the best partnership at centre backs that I've seen.
Absolutely.
And it is generally, and I mean this, mate, it's heartbreaking to see that he's going through what he's going through. Just give Mark
a minute, everyone, please.
Chris Nichol's going through what he's going through.
Absolutely.
And an appeal to the club, at Southampton Football Club, that hopefully at some stage before these people, leave the earth, that Dave Watson and Chris Nichol are invited down to the football club to take in a game, with their wives or their partners. I mean, I put a little bit on Facebook the other day, and funnily enough, Penny, Dave's wife, actually put a link to it. So it's, as I said, it's very upsetting news about the both of them.
Yeah, I was just reading through it, Mark, and it is, and I'm totally with you, mate. I'm trying to fight it back myself, to be fair. She basically said he has good and bad days, tries to continue to enjoy a normal life. However, almost every day we're confronted with a new challenge. It's exceptionally sad, and as you say, to see both him and Chris suffering the same is very upsetting. We were both lucky enough to see both of them playing at the height of their powers for Saints, and what a phenomenal partnership they were.
Yeah.
Just best wishes go out to both families.
As I say, as a Saints fan, for me, the two of them will never be forgotten. Right. But please, Southampton Football Club, do a decent thing. Yep. Invite the two of them down to a game at some point before before the conditions get worse.
Yeah, you've done something. The fans
and make them realise that they were appreciated by the Saints supporting public here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a couple of ex-legends that are now ambassadors for your club. let's not forget these guys are former players like Dave Watson and Chris Nicholl, who deserve recognition from the club. Please get them down there before it's too late.
Definitely.
They certainly do deserve recognition for their playing time at the club. And obviously Chris also managed the club as well. So they both certainly deserve plaudits from the club, and they should definitely do something for both of them. And I think there's something wrong there if they don't.
So moving on before I start blubbering.
Yeah, anyway. So there is obviously some other Saints-related news going around at present. So the first one of those would be, bear with me, Saints apparently eyeing up a swoop for, where are we? Oxford United centre-back Robert Dickey.
Yeah.
Interesting one, Mark.
Curious one.
Is that ready for the summer, is it? Or?
To be fair to him, right, he is a bit of a commanding centre half, right?
Yep.
It's strange because he's 23 years of age.
Yep.
We are talking about Oxford here.
Yeah, so Oxford United.
We're talking about 2 steps up.
Yep.
I mean, I know Bournemouth bought a player from Luton Town, Jack, and I can't think what his surname is. Forgive me, people, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Bournemouth bought a player who got promoted last season with Luton when they went into the Championship, and obviously he's gone there and he's sort of trying to find his feet within the team, right? He's round about the same age, funnily, as this Oxford player. The thing for me that I find curious is it just that we're sort of looking at cheap players, because he's got 12 months left on his contract, so
yep.
they wouldn't, I wouldn't have thought the fee's going to be massive.
Nope.
I think to myself, do we need to be looking at people like this, or can we?
Thing is, Mark,
can we get better value?
If this is what we're
in
looking
the market?
at, I've got to be honest. If this is what we're looking at ahead of the summer window, I'm concerned already. I'm worried already before we've even got there. I'm only in January. February.
All I would say on this link is we are not. I mean, to try and sort of give it a bit of balance here, right? Apparently, we're not the only Premier League club that's looking at him.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that there must be something more to him than what you're looking. Personally, if it's a minimal gamble, then it's worth taking the gamble. I'm going to say that.
Well, the thing is, I'm starting
and
to
obviously his performances this season has warranted the attention.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that it's coming from Premier League clubs as opposed to Championship clubs.
Right, moving on from there, Saints are also reportedly interested in a summer deal to sign Middlesbrough midfielder Lewis Wing. This is another low league youngster, Mark. This is a worrying trend I'm starting to see here ahead of the summer window, I must admit.
I've got to be honest, right?
Starting to get seriously worried.
I have listened. This is going to sound bizarre, but you know my habit towards football, right? I listen into loads of different stuff, right? Anyway, I was on T's radio. I was listening to T's radio station, right? And obviously he's a Borough player.
Yeah.
And they are ranting and raving about him, right? And I'm sat there going, to be fair, I'd heard of Rob Dickey before, right? I hadn't heard of Lewis Wing before this season, so obviously I'm moving in the wrong circles. But you just sort of sit there and you think, okay, so obviously they're looking at him creatively, okay? I'm assuming that it's to do with his assist stats more than anything else. The thing is again, what sort of fee? Fees aren't being mentioned here. What sort of fee are we looking at for him? Because usually Championship sides, if you're looking in the Championship, normally the fees a little bit more inflated because they're English and everything like that, and that's probably why we're looking at Rob Dickey, who's got 12 months to go on a contract and he's a League One player. But anyway, it's so difficult to judge at the minute, and as I've I said to you today when we were coming in, I mean, there was a raft of people there overnight that we were being linked with, which you're going to be coming on to in this section, you know, and one or two I've heard of before. And then there's two, I think there was 4 links I give you, right? 2 of them I've heard of, and the other 2 I haven't got a clue who they are.
We'll get to those in a minute. So moving on from the ones we've just covered, Joachim Mahler admits disappointment that Farrell removed at Southampton and West Ham.
Well, I thought
You were absolutely fuming, weren't we, that Saints didn't get him in the window. Well, we were absolutely furious.
well, no, I was just confused. I thought to myself, so why are we waiting another, till the summer when I'm assuming that there's going to be a queue on, I'm assuming that it's going to be like Harrods Sale or something like that, and we're in the queue with everybody else. Sometimes you sort of sit there and think, steal a march. But the problem may be, and I'm just spitballing here, but I'm assuming that the problem is the Ghent are reluctant to let him go because obviously it's in the middle. I'm just saying it's in the middle of the season, right? They know he's a good player, a decent player. They know he's going to go for a comparatively smaller fee, right? And obviously the lad's itching it, because he's sitting there on Premier League, where's the money, all this sort of stuff, show me the money, where's Jerry Maguire when you want him? But,
he's going to be flying a fast jet again quite soon.
And you sit there and you think to yourself, fair play, because I don't have a problem with players earning money, right? Because football career's short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you go back to the good old days, right? I mean, one of the reasons why footballers were still so relative back then was because they were earning more money than the average person, but at the same token, they weren't earning mega money, which set them aside from the rest of the supporter base or whatever, But as I say, no, that is. I mean, I can't wait to the summer to see what actually happens with Joachim Mahler. But I've got a funny feeling that we're not going to get him, Mark. Right. Anyway, we'll come on to that in the other section. So that's basically that. Anyway. You haven't read the whole article. Away from home, I would. Yeah. I'm not sure about the comparisons, but yeah.
From Timo Werner to Nathan Redmond. That's quite a massive comparison. I don't think you could have a further...
No, I know.
Yeah, we've had
anyway, let me just quantify that. Because I've read the article on Like Mark, prepping. But all I'll say is
what do you actually suggest?
Right, yes. Okay, so let me just quantify this. So I actually think he would be a great... there you go. I actually think he would be a great signing for Saints. Yes, £33 million for a 23-year-old Kosovan international, it's a lot of money, and let's be honest, it's beyond Saints' reach. But as the article has stated, right, the release clause for him, if Werder Bremen get relegated from the top flight in Germany, then comes down to £17 million. And £17 million is more or less affordable for Saints.
Absolutely.
But to me, it's whether they're prepared to pay that kind of money, and obviously if Werder Bremen get relegated, because Werder Bremen are the sort of... I've got to say, I follow a little bit of Werder Bremen, right?
Yep.
And obviously... I think I'm right in saying that at one stage, Vestergaard was there.
Yep.
He moved on, but his German league career started out at Werder Bremen. Anyway, the thing about Werder Bremen is they start the season like absolute demons, right? And then they just fall apart right? They're threatened with relegation, and then they pick up in the last 5 league games where they go unbeaten and they manage to stay up. And that has been the nature of their season for about the last 3 or 4 seasons in the Bundesliga.
Part of this article with this player says that there are other teams that probably lead the race, but Southampton would give the 25-year-old a much better chance of first-team football. And they've also said
23, yes, he's not 25.
Right, so they've got that incorrect in the article, actually.
Yeah,
But anyway,
no, he's 23.
So they'd obviously give him a much better chance of first-team football, and you can't really argue with that. As a youngster, you want first-team football. So that probably stands us in good stead. But also, it also says, for all of Redmond and Shane Long's qualities, they're not exactly Mo Salah or Sadio Mane. Well, yeah, it's how something we don't know, really.
You can't, I mean,
what a thing to say.
The comparisons are ridiculous.
Yeah, they are.
Don't get me wrong, Mark. Right, this lad is the classic counter-attacking kind of Nathan Redmond, you know, on the break and stuff like that. There, and I still think we need one or two of those. Even if you're not talking about within the team, certainly within the squad, so that he has greater options. Because one of the things in relation to the squad is there isn't greater options there at the minute, really. You know. Right,
moving on from there. Southampton scouting Abdou Haru ahead of potential summer move. Southampton are reportedly showing interest in Sparta midfielder Abdou Haru ahead of a potential summer move. According to Dutch outlet the Dagblad 10. Southampton have been scouting Haru as they were up an offer for the midfielder. The report claims Saints were present to watch him in his last match for Sparta, whilst unnamed Dutch clubs were also keen on signing him. He's impressed the Netherlands Sparta this season, and recorded a WhoScored rating of 7.28 for his performances in the Eredivisie. He's racked up 3 goals and 7 assists as a central midfielder, although he's also played twice as a winger, showing off his versatility.
Yeah.
It's not just his attacking output that stands out. He's averaged an incredible 2.9 tackles per game, along with 1.5 aerial battles won and 1.1 key passes played per game. From these stats, you'd say he's a well-rounded midfielder due to him impressing both defensively and offensively, and at the age of 22, shows plenty of promise and can prove to be a good investment for Saints.
Yeah, look,
I'm trying to get through these as quick as I can.
Yeah, don't worry, and I understand that because time's short. But very quickly, I just want to go back to the Kosovan, right? I just want to state 53 appearances, 17 goals, okay? So we're moving on to the lad from, where's he from? Sparta Rotterdam.
So
Sparta Rotterdam.
Just one other thing with that Kosovan. Would you say that's possibly finally a replacement for Dusan Tadic, Mark?
Yeah, they're not similar, but obviously offensively, you know, you would sit there and you'd think actually he would bring as much to the party as Dusan. You know, and obviously, so, but anyway, I just want to move on for them. But he's a recommendation for me if Saints could get the money together. So, hopefully, Werder Bremen get relegated. No offence to Werder Bremen fans, but, right. You know, get them a little bit cheaper.
So going
back to this Sparta Rotterdam player, right, I just want to say this about him. They, on the link that they gave, they said he'd scored 10 goals. That's not strictly true.
No.
He scored 10 goals for their B side.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So this is Sparta Rotterdam's B side we're talking about. Now, he has come into the team within the last 18 months, okay? He's played 30 odd games. He's scored 4 goals, okay? Again, I think he's a central midfielder that plays in a more advanced role. So, again, not an issue in relation to looking to sign him this, but I think there might be a development thing there as well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also worth pointing out he already has 7 assists this season. So basically, only Hakim Ziyech, who we know is now going to Chelsea, I believe, and Dusan Tadic are the only 2 players who've got more assists in the Eredivisie this season than Haru.
Oh yeah, no, I would say Haru, looking at him, and obviously, you know, he's one of the ones obviously that I didn't know about of the 4. Having now had a look at him, and obviously you sit there and you think to yourself, actually, there is something about him. The only thing that worries me about the rest of these articles is there's no mention of a price.
No, absolutely not. No, there's another one
I
here
mean,
as well.
obviously, all these players allegedly are being scouted by Saints, and this is why they're included.
Yeah, there's another one here. Saints scouting Spezia centre-back Martin Ehrlich.
Yeah.
So that's Croatian defender Martin Ehrlich. Didn't work out the last Croatian we had as a defender at St Mary's, did it?
Well, no, it did. He had a very good season, and then he decided that he wanted to go and make some money.
That's basically what I meant.
You know, his head obviously was, you know, but anyway, we're not going to go there. But he plays. See, this is where it gets slightly worrying, because the other two are playing obviously different leagues, but they're playing in the top league in their respective countries.
Yeah, Spezia is hardly.
This lad plays in Serie B.
Yeah,
and I mean, I've looked at it, and I think to myself, again, is it because there isn't a lot of money about, and we're looking for cheap options? The
thing is,
who we can you know, when I say cheap options, Mark, that isn't the negative. Are we looking at cheap options of people that we can develop, right? Or are these people really people that we can say, let's throw them into the first team and see if they sink or swim?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that worries me about this guy, Serie B, greatest respect in the world of Southampton Football Club. We all know what happened with Wesley Hoot. So I think we've got to be careful on this one, because I just see Wesley Hoot Mark II written all over it.
But the thing is, you can't though, Mark. Before he came, you can't say things like that, because when Wesley Hoot came here, where was he coming from? He came from Lazio.
Well,
Lazio were in Serie A.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So he was coming from the top league in Italy.
Yeah.
You know, but when
well, that's my point. He came from the top league.
The concern is, because of financial constraints, right? Because of financial constraints, we're looking at players in the lower leagues, and it does smack of, like, especially with something like this one, where you're sat there and you're thinking, and probably with the guy from Sparta Rotterdam, there's still, you know, it's still about trying to develop the player while including them in the first team squad and hoping that it's a case of throw him in and let's see if he can sink or swim.
Yeah, I mean, when I said Wesley Hoot, Mark II, my concern was we brought Wesley Hoot in from Serie A, didn't make an impact. You want to bring this guy in from a lower level, Serie B, and you're hoping he's going to make the grade. Now, what worries me is we brought in a young centre-half from Serie A who didn't make the grade. We're looking to bring in a young centre-half from Serie B, which is a lower level. That was my point. Anyway, moving on from there. Southampton scouting Sassuolo Ford Scamacca. So, apparently interested in signing Sassuolo Ford Gianluca Scamacca in the summer. Scamacca's actually on loan to Serie B side Ascoli from Sassuolo. So, another Serie B again, I guess.
But what I would say is there is pedigree here. I mean, the guy is playing for the Italian under-21s. He is scoring goals.
Yeah.
He's a striker with stature. So I'm not going to come out with any cliche stuff. but all I would say is that it's someone with a presence, obviously, up front. And it is an area that we are lacking in. So, you know, again, this is one that I would give serious consideration to.
Yep.
But unfortunately, again, in the link that's being served up, below these people are definitely being scouted by Saints. You know, I would turn around and I would say the lack of a fee, you know, in the article sort of turns around and says to me, well, what sort of money would be... I know you're pouring scoff on it, but he is at a Serie A club, and he does play for the Italian under-21s. You know?
I mean...
And the thing is those are the Mark, because of the financial constraints, those are the markets we're looking in.
No, I understand.
Hence we're looking at League 1 and League 2 players here.
I fully understand the market Saints are in. I fully understand why they go in the market they go into. For me, it would be nice for a change to sit here and think, do you know what, I've got a little bit more faith in my club that they've learnt their lessons, that they've learnt from their mistakes they've made in previous
They have.
windows.
They're not splashing the cash as much, are they?
But this is my concern. From my point of view, I'm not seeing anything. I haven't seen anything yet, and I'm still not convinced that we've learnt our lessons. The summer will tell, and I hope I'm blatantly wrong. I hope I'm completely wrong on how I feel at the moment, but at this moment in time, I have zero faith in my club to pull off a decent window in the summer. I hope I'm completely wrong. I'll be very pleased to be sat here at the end of the summer window and say I got it wrong. I'll be over the moon about that.
It won't be, because the thing is the expectation going in is you're sat there and you're thinking to yourself, I hope we deal with all the issues that our club have at the moment, right? And I can guarantee you that irrespectively, even if they do decent stuff in the summer, there still will be 3-4 things that haven't been addressed, and that'll impact again going into the following season. And you're sat there thinking, please, at whatever stage, let's get the house in order. You know, let's get all our ducks in a row and deal with them.
Absolutely.
You know, and then you know, we're ready to go. But
right.
generally, let's give Ralph more support.
Yep. Right. Well, as we've now kind of wrapped up covering silly season.
Yeah. Let's go into the Aston Villa.
Talking of flops that Saints might sign. Former Southampton flop Danny Osvaldo has come out of retirement as a rock star, Mark.
That is unfair. Echo's being an extremely
That was tongue in cheek. That was tongue in cheek.
Right,
they are being
because he's not a flop.
No, they are being harsh.
He was not a flop. Let's get it right. He got his contract cancelled because he made a foul on. Well, he made a foul and a reaction on Fonte, and the club deemed it out of order basically. So the contract was cancelled, but he wasn't you can't say he was a flop. I mean, we never got to judge really if he was a flop or not.
That's right.
I always thought there was something about him personally, apart from the fact that he was an absolute nutter.
It just happened to look like Johnny Depp or Captain Jack Sparrow.
I picked it out because it's interesting. He's back in the homeland of Argentina now, and he's going to be playing for Benfield.
Benfield, yeah.
And you know, obviously he's decided that, you know, he wants to step back into football. He sort of, you know, he was claiming he was falling out of love with it. I actually thought that he'd lost his whatever form he had, he'd lost it.
Yeah.
And then he just decided to go off and be a rock star, which, you know, is a regular occurrence, of course. You know, I'm being sarcastic here, but you know, colourful bloke.
Yep.
I've always found him fairly interesting. Yep. Okay. Yep. In the sense that he's away from the norm as a footballer. As I say, mad as a box of frogs, but
there's a striking resemblance to Captain Jack Sparrow or Johnny Depp, depending on which way you look at it.
He's back playing football, people, and all I'd say is watch this space.
Well, not only that, he actually made his debut against River Plate and forced the goalkeeper into making a good save from a 30-yard chip that he almost put in. Yep. So he almost scored on his debut. So, you know, if you've got a bit of quality about you as a player,
the other thing is for me, he provided me with one of my favourite moments at St Mary's when he scored the goal against Man City.
Stunning goal, Mark. You know? As well, stunning goal. Absolutely stunning goal. And one of those goals he almost created himself, to be fair, because it wasn't that.
There wasn't a lot
brilliant
on.
Ball. Brilliant goal.
You know, but
it's one of those rare things. I mean, people won't remember, but Tadnari Lee with his short spell at Saints scored an absolute rasping left footer, put in the top corner right in front of Chapwend when he played for us. And you know, people don't remember that very well, but that was an absolute stunner when he scored it. I was there when he scored, and it was phenomenal. Same with Danny's goal.
So anyway, moving on to the preview, and I'm going to take over here slightly.
You carry on, Mark. Go for it.
Basically, to get a little bit of reaction from you, the two articles that I'm going to cover is that in the build-up to the game, both Stuart Armstrong and Ralph have come out. Stuart Armstrong have come out basically and said, standard every week this is, especially when we've played at home and we've lost. You know, we need a much more of a reaction from players. And I keep, you know, the thing is you can be sure that somebody from the squad always comes out and says that, and you're sat there thinking, hang on, why wasn't there a reaction last Saturday rather than a reaction, you know? And then you can tell that the heat's sort of on a little bit because obviously Ralph has turned around more or less what he said for me, you know, a couple of months back when he was sitting there going, you know, it's up to the players. Now it's, you know, it's difficult for them having to deal in the atmosphere and trying to get them to respond and everything else, you know, and the articles were kind of, I mean, Stuart Armstrong, you hear, you know, every time we lose at home, basically, and somebody says, we need a reaction for next week or whatever, or this week or whatever, and then, you know, Ralph's one, I'll tell you where that comes from. That comes from the Glenn Fry quote of "the heat is on," because if we're not getting 3 points from one of the next 2 games that we're playing, we are right in the poo-poo, my friend.
Well, if results go against us on Saturday and we don't get a result against Villa, we're right back in the mix.
Yeah,
so we're not looking towards the top of the table, we're looking towards the bottom.
You say Villa, but say even if they don't get anything against Villa, then the pressure's absolutely enormous against West Ham.
Well, and I hate to say this to Ralph or anybody else at Southampton Football Club, you know, you've got a team who play really well away from home. They come to home games and approach it completely differently. Approach home games. I'll tell you what, instead of going out in the red and white stripes against Villa, let's try something different. Go out on Saturday in the grey and yellow and get everyone fighting yellows at St Mary's and see if we actually get a result.
They seem to play well, and I've got to say, right, you know, bear in mind that the white and navy has hardly been used. It's only been used once away at Wolves, okay? Because I bought the top. I mean, I buy all the tops, but all I'm going to say is I think that's player driven. I think they like playing in the yellow and grey. You know.
So they like the kit that much and they perform that well in it. Put them in that kit on Saturday. Send them out in that kit and get a result.
Yeah, I mean,
it's difficult to play at St Mary's. You make it difficult to play at St Mary's because you concede silly goals after 90 seconds, or you concede silly goals in the 95th minute. That's why it's hard to play at St Mary's, because of the mindset you lot have when you play there. You bring it upon yourself, to be fair, to a degree. I appreciate the fans play their part, but it's about the 11 players that cross that white line.
That's an element of it. That's definitely an element of it. All I'm going to say, Mark, is that in relation to the Villa game, they've got Tyrone Mings coming back, okay, and you know that's a plus for them. One of the pluses for us is John McGinn's still because John McGinn, trust me, right, I don't think they'd be in the trouble if John McGinn had been. You know, he's probably going to be out for the rest of the season now, and thankfully he got injured in the game that we were playing in because he did look dangerous, you know, because it was an even game up until that point.
Absolutely.
We hadn't actually. But anyway,
obviously, I'm aware of the fact we're short of time today. What I am going to say is Stuart Armstrong and Ralph Hasenhüttl's comments. Take both those on board, but you're not telling us anything we don't know. Tell us something different for a change, because we're all bored here and the same thing. Because those two remarks are pretty irrelevant. From my point of view, aware of the fact Saints need a result and aware of the fact of how difficult they apparently find it at home, I'm going for a nervy 1-0 win.
Okay, I'm going for a draw. Okay. Unfortunately, but very quickly before we go, and I know we're short on time, so I'll make it quick. I just want to say that it was good to see Justin Fashanu this week being inducted into the Football Hall of Fame. You know, more as a football supporter, I'll always remember the goal that he scored for Norwich, which was goal of the season against Liverpool, and also, you know, his loan spell at Saints wasn't that bad.
Yep.
You know, he made 9 appearances, 3 goals.
Yep.
So, you know, as I say, I just wanted to throw that one into the mix. Bring it up.
One of the few people who got to see him play it at the Downmark. I thought he did quite well for us when he was there, to be fair.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to see Justin play, and he did, as you say, he did quite well when he did play for us. Well, that wraps up the Two Saints show for today, everyone. So it's goodbye from me, Mark C.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and it's goodbye from him.
Keep an eye on our social media and everything else as well. Keep tuned to the show.